If someone asked you to describe your life, what would you say to them? Maybe you'd talk about your job or your daily schedule, how long your commute is, how much time it leaves for hobbies. Plenty of people would mention their families and the responsibilities that go along with them. Things like your kid's football camp or school days. Some would likely mention their goals or where they think life might take them. If you're anything like us, you'd make a sarcastic comment about death and taxes, which takes us a bit closer to where we're going right now. What if I told you that nothing about life as we know it is really how it seems? Most of us assume that we're born, we experience childhood, we grow into adults, and eventually we die. Much is debated about the experience of death. It's one of humanity's biggest mysteries because the only way you'll know what happens after physical death is through the experience itself. Occasionally, someone is either lucky enough or unlucky enough to have a near-death experience, coming back to tell us everything they'd witnessed. A few doctors and scientists have studied near-death experiences and found they're generally similar experiences featuring ghostly apparitions, angels, loved ones who've already crossed the veil, and most notably, a bright light that many people believe is intended to take them to their final destination, a heaven or a hell or whatever they believe in. However, some people believe that the light isn't a portal to our otherworldly reward, but instead a trap designed to suck your soul into a memory-wiping containment facility run by reptilian extraterrestrial beings, then send it back into Earth's birth pool, creating a never-ending cycle of reincarnations. Unless you know how to beat the system and escape the high-tech force field that surrounds Earth. But why would this happen? What purpose does it all serve? According to believers, the purpose is sustenance. Believers say the reptilian beings who run this planet essentially run it like a prison, enticing spirit beings from other dimensions to come here, where their memories are wiped and they're placed into human bodies. Those humans then grow and experience struggle, and those negative emotions become loosh, or food for the reptilians. Sounds dismal, doesn't it? Those who believe in an afterlife probably don't want it to look anything like that, and yet this story is captivating increasingly more people as the idea spreads. Could it be true? And if it is, why is it such a tantalizing theory? We'll discuss it now on Sage, Skeptic, and Storyteller. Welcome to the Triple S podcast. Today, we've got a really interesting theory to discuss, the theory of the soul trap. I'm not sure how many of you guys have heard about this, but this is one that, goes down in Reddit infamy, or maybe it does if you're on Reddit. I know that Ellen was the one who originally sent a little bit of it to us in some video clips and a couple of links. And we could not help but go down this rabbit hole, guys. It was pretty enticing. I have to admit, from the storytelling perspective, I was like, yeah, and then what happens? So I
Oh
thought it was
yeah,
pretty interesting.
it's
So
wild.
Ellen,
It's
do you want to
definitely
tell
wild.
do you want to tell us if I've missed anything in that intro when I was reading about basically what the soul trap is? Did I miss anything there?
No, that was great. Just yeah, I probably learned about this theory, well, probably about 6 months ago, I'd say, and it's a fascinating rabbit hole to go down. And yeah, it's mainly been on Reddit that I've discovered this, but it basically is this theory that we are all kind of here being harvested, much like how we as humans harvest other animals to get energy. We have cattle, we've got chickens, we harvest plants. We don't think twice about that. It's just food to us. But the theory is that we as humans are being harvested for our energy to feed other entities that are feeding. You said loosh, yeah, that's the term that they use to describe kind of the energy, I guess, that humans give off in the form of emotions. Like strong emotions, mainly negative emotions. I think is the theory, like fear and anger and whatnot. And so, um, yeah, it's a wild theory, but it really got to me. I was thinking about it, like, sometimes this place does kind of feel like a prison.
It totally does. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, when I heard, I know some people were kind of conflating this with the prison planet theory, which is a little bit different, but it actually kind of folds in nicely with it. I don't know if we'll do an episode on that, on the prison planet theory later, but
Oh,
essentially,
right. Yeah.
um,
I'm confusing the two. Sorry.
no, it's okay. It's really easy to do it because, like, some people who are referring to the soul trap theory call it prison planet, and some call it soul trap, and so it's just, or some call it like an afterlife trap or something like that. So, like, the terminology I think is still evolving, but a lot of people, I think most people are calling it soul trap right now.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, I thought it was really interesting because when I was reading about it through the links that you sent and then some of the ones that I discovered myself, if there were comment sections, I noticed that they were filled with things like, that makes so much sense. Oh my gosh, I feel like I've really stumbled onto like a clue about how things work. And this all, of course, connects with a collective consciousness mindset, which is a mode of belief that there is basically one source of soul energy, and everything in the universe is connected to that big source of soul energy. So when you die, your soul just goes back into the energy pool, and in that way, it sort of lives forever. So in that way, you live forever, but we just don't know what that would look like.
Yeah, like we're all
So
we're all tentacles on a jellyfish, basically.
yeah,
We're all one organism, but we just don't know it. Yeah.
right. And I mean, I could kind of see where that's going because a lot of stuff on Earth does seem so interconnected that it's tempting to think that there really is something connecting everything. But of course, I can see Annette's face, and she's got these lines on her eyes, and I can tell right
she's
now
she's worried about me.
she's worried. Annette
I
is worried.
I mean that's just normal, uh but okay, so you're sitting there saying that everything is connected and it's like tentacles on a jellyfish is what you said, right? But
Tentacles is the right term. A biologist should check me, but yeah.
none of us are biologists, I'm sure that's
The
fine, but
appendages on a jellyfish, whatever those are called. Yeah.
if it's for energy and there's like an alien species that are harvesting us for energy,
Yeah.
what that's like a jellyfish tentacle, like a jellyfish eating itself. If you're all energy,
Oh, if we're all connected, you're saying?
yeah.
Oh, okay. So
Mm,
So,
you're saying
so
these
what eats their
beings.
energy?
Yeah, yeah. Well, I don't know. Yeah.
I don't
Okay. So
know.
the term people
Octopuses
use.
do eat their own tentacles, though. Like, mama
Oh,
octopuses eat their own tentacles after they've given birth to babies as a stress
whoa,
reaction.
whoa.
So,
Oh,
I'm
shit.
needlessly complicating this, of course, but it does happen.
That's a good fact. Okay, so anything is possible, we know,
Thanks,
because
Jen.
You're welcome.
nature, nature is a
That's
little
the image
fucked
I
up.
needed today.
Yeah. I mean, if you think about it, look at creation, look at nature. Everything's a little bit fucked up, right?
Oh, yeah,
So
totally.
why wouldn't we be too?
Oh, we
Or
are. We are,
uh,
regardless of whether you believe in this theory.
that's true.
Yeah.
Okay, that's true. That's true. This theory, though, I don't know. For some reason, it fascinated me because I think sometimes it does feel like you're being drained living here.
Mm,
It
yeah.
feels like there's something sucking away at your energy, at your, like, I don't know.
Yeah. But
And
that's
and just
your job, children, uh,
Okay, true.
relationships. Let
That's
me
things.
get,
You're right. You're
there's
right.
a
That's things
list.
on this plane that are draining us. True. But if you, I don't know, if you look at nature, if you just look at how everything harvests something, are we humans truly the top of the food chain, or is there something harvesting us that we just
Well,
can't see?
of course, there's something harvesting us. When you die, you go back into the ground, and there's all sorts of microbacterias and
Okay, true.
animals and
True,
feed off of
true.
our decomposing flesh. So,
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, that's a good point there. Yeah, if we're looking at things on like just this plane in the physical, but like if we break over to like what's happening on a spiritual level, then I guess that's when you can kind of open it up
Hmm.
to those ideas.
Yeah. This theory kind of assumes that much like life, our spirits could also be harvested. Our emotions could also be harvested. Things that are, things that we would associate more to like electrical energy than physical energy.
Yeah,
You know,
I think that's where it gets interesting is when you look at it as like waves of energy, that we're emitting. Is
but
that's it?
everything is energy.
Yeah,
If you
exactly.
break down everything in the universe down to its fundamental base, everything is energy.
Yeah.
So, I mean, even if you're eating food, which you harvested, food is energy and it creates energy in your body. So you can't run away from energy.
Mhm. Mhm.
But if you're talking about your soul or your spirit, first of all, you'd have to quantify what that is.
Mhm. Mhm.
true.
Well,
So what are
okay.
we going to
So
say a soul is right now?
to
Like,
entertain this
are we gonna
theory,
try this?
yeah, you're right. Yeah. Okay. To entertain this theory, we have to assume that we have a soul, and it's being reincarnated every time, and we've lived many lives. We have to assume that, if we're going to buy into this theory, basically.
Right. Yeah.
And yeah, yeah. And so yeah, so I guess we're mainly talking about the soul trap, that theory, right? Of just
How
Hmm.
do how do you try okay, say that you have a soul and you are getting reincarnated. How are you catching a soul?
well,
Oh, trickery.
the I mean,
Trickery.
Well,
yes.
that's
I
what
mean,
essentially what it boils down to in this theory is that the the white light that you see after death that most people assume is like a portal to a heaven or a hell, or maybe
mhm.
like where you go to experience your final memories, or like whatever it is that you believe
Yeah,
happens
the
after
next
death.
step. Yeah.
Yeah, the next step. It's largely viewed as the next step, and that's the gateway to it. But really, you go into some kind of a containment facility where your soul's memories are all wiped, and they
Mhm.
use trickery like your dead family members or like angels or whatever as lures, based on what you believe in, and then they lure you into this thing, wipe the memories associated with your soul, and um then they just kind of force you into another human body, like back into the reincarnation cycle so that you can be food again.
Yep.
Okay,
Yep. You're back. You're pooped back out.
I'm just gonna I got to do the skeptic here. Um, do you remember when we were younger? Okay, all three of us are 41 now. Okay. Do you
Mhm.
Wow.
remember when you were younger and you used to like do this stupid ass thing where you would put your head down between your knees and breathe really hard and then stand up and put
Hmm.
your hands on your neck and like make yourself like dizzy and like black out? Do you
Oh
I
remember
don't
that?
think
shit.
I ever
No,
did
I
that.
actually didn't do that.
Okay, there was a thing. Like this was a thing.
Hmm.
Okay,
Oh
and
wow.
Oh
I
yeah,
hope
to
some
like
people.
try and make yourself pass out, basically.
Yes,
Yeah, yeah.
yes. Okay,
Hmm.
so
I remember
it.
hearing about shit like that. I was too scared to try it.
I did
Oh,
remember hearing about it, but I didn't try it.
Yeah.
I
Yep.
totally did it. Yeah, of course I did. And
For science.
well, at that time I wasn't really thinking about science. I was just like, well, I wonder what happens. And so,
Shit, let's
you
try
know,
it. Yeah.
having a scientific mind is also having a curious mind. So
Hmm.
I've never been
Oh yeah.
accused of not having that.
So how'd it
But
go?
you get a tunnel vision.
Oh,
So when you constrict oxygen and
yeah.
blood to the brain, it's
That's
the
bad, right?
automatic reaction is to darken it darkens the perimeters of your vision, and it can create
Oh.
like a white light, okay, a bright light. And that's
Hmm.
just due to blood restriction and oxygen restriction to the brain. And so
Okay.
that's what science theorizes. Many people who have had near death experiences will say, I saw a bright light. And so what science has said and neuroscience has said is quite most likely what that is as you are dying, your brain is losing oxygen and blood.
Oh, tunnel vision.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Interesting. Okay, so if we're saying that the atheists are right, nothing happens after you die, there's no spiritual realm, then that's what's happening is your brain is doing tunnel vision basically, and you're just seeing a white light of a tunnel when you die because that's just what your brain does.
Yeah.
That's what you're saying basically.
Yeah.
See, that makes sense to me too. I mean,
Yeah.
like I think I've said this, I would love it if the atheists are right. If there's nothing after this life and we're just done, wouldn't that be nice?
Another
It
really
would be
cool
kind of nice, yeah.
another really cool thing about when you're dying and the weird things that your brain does, when you're dying, your body actually releases chemicals that
Oh
create
yeah,
like a euphoria.
I knew about that because I knew that the chemicals are similar to like DMT, like when you
Hmm.
take that drug
Mm,
and all the
yeah.
crazy shit you can see. The yeah, euphoria is just really. It sounds like it's great, honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah, where can we get our
Like
hands on that?
I mean, I think our brain
That's
just
how we
does
get our
it.
hands on
Yeah.
death.
Oh, wait, there's many instruments for
Hmm.
that. I forgot.
Yeah, where can I get a little of that? Yeah. No, really though.
Oh Lord.
I think that's just how our brain works. I think it looks out for us at the very end, and it's like it knows when it's done, and it's like poof, and the last firework explosion of drugs to make it
Yeah.
more
Here you
enjoyable.
go.
Yeah,
Yeah.
drugs.
Safe journey.
Yay. Okay. So, have you guys read or listened to very many like near death experiences? Because I'm really fascinated with those. And so I was wondering if you've read like very many of those about people talking about their NDEs.
I remember reading a book when I was in high school or maybe college,
Ooh.
but I remember reading a book that was written by a Christian author that was like all these near death experiences of heaven and hell.
Oh,
Hmm.
interesting. Wow.
And
Okay.
so I've read it from that perspective, but not like really
So did
Hmm.
reincarnation or anything.
the people in that book like they said that they saw heaven or saw hell basically?
Hmm.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, it was supposed to like scare you into being a
Yeah.
good Christian.
Yeah, no kidding. Oh my
Yeah.
God.
Yeah. That, I mean, there's
That would have
nothing
scared
like
me
death to
too.
scare someone. Most people
Oh,
are
yeah.
really afraid of death, because then what happens, and I may have said this before, but I remember taking an undergraduate psychology class where the professor was talking and he was saying that the human brain cannot conceptualize non-existence. It has
Hmm.
no frame of reference for non-existence. So if you were to try to think too deeply about not existing, your brain will just produce a massive anxiety attack and you'll just panic and it pulls you
Yeah.
out of it. So like your brain refuses to believe that there is such a thing as non-existence. So I'm of
Wow.
the mind that a lot of this could just be stories that your brain tells you just to kind of
Hmm.
appease itself because the brain is an anxious
Yeah.
thing and it doesn't like
Self-preservation.
yeah, exactly. Like
It's a
if the
strong
brain
instinct. Yeah. Hmm.
yeah, exactly.
I
Most
mean,
of
it
us
probably is a
want to
it's a
live.
probably a subconscious thing too, conscious and subconscious about just wanting that self-preservation, anything to keep the status quo, whatever. Yeah,
Yeah.
survive.
I
Yeah,
don't
yeah.
believe that it's possible to not exist though. Like
What do you mean?
I I don't think non-existence is a possibility.
Oh,
I mean
because
like,
everything that existed
Well,
your
like
did
even if
personal
exist?
you're
self. Like your like the non-existence of itself. So the brain can't
Yeah.
conceptualize the non-existence of itself. So like the death of itself. It can't conceptualize it.
I
Huh.
feel like
I
I
wonder
can
if
conceptualize that. Like you're
Well, I mean, like
I know.
just
What
not
you
the
just
act.
cease to exist.
Yeah, like not existing, but like our frame of reference is like if you dissected it, it'd be like, well, everything goes black. And then it's like, well, but black is actually an experience. You've experienced
yeah,
black.
that's
You
a
know
way of
what darkness
seeing.
is. So, like,
Mhm.
you can't, once you take off enough layers of that cake, you get
Yeah.
to the panicky bottom where you're like, oh my God, what? And then your brain
Yeah.
just freaks out and you come
I
to. I've
wonder
actually
if
done that.
oh, that's a good
I've
or
I've
maybe not
gotten
good,
to
but
panic state.
interesting. Yeah, it's an interesting meditation. Maybe
It
not
was the
the most
worst
relaxing
meditation I've ever
meditation.
done, and I'm not doing it again.
Yeah, let's not promote anxiety attacks, okay?
Yeah,
I wonder.
don't do it.
I was gonna say, I wonder if AI can contemplate its non-existence. Has anyone asked AI about that? Like,
Oh man,
you
that's a
know,
good one.
I wonder.
That's,
Uh,
I
maybe
think
probably
it
AI
would.
would.
would probably have the exact same responses I have.
Hmm.
Because you have existed at a point, your non-existence will never be. Because there is
Oh.
parts of you that will always continue.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's why I said that non-existence is impossible.
Yeah.
And that are you real or are you an AI deepfake?
Use your best guess. I feel like if I was an AI deepfake, then I wouldn't stumble over my words as much as I do.
That's fair.
That's how we know you're real.
Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
my brain thinks quicker than my mouth can move, so I stutter a lot and like just listening.
Oh my gosh.
Oh man.
Um,
Oh,
Okay, so soul trap. So are we trapped in this thing? Can we escape it? Like
according
that
to the theory, there's that like that force field around the earth that
yeah.
supposedly traps
Yeah.
all the souls in there. And
Mhm.
there have been like I read some stuff that I mean, who knows whether this is like legit stuff or not. When you get into conspiracy theory land, you're going off of
Mhm.
people's blogs and you're going off of like links to really fringe
Oh yeah.
information. So
Mhm.
what I
Someone's
know,
aunt's blog that yeah,
right.
exactly.
So
Mhm.
like in academia, when they're like, you need to use reputable sources, like my brain just explodes every time I try to research something that we talk about here because there's no such thing as a
Mhm.
reputable source. And
No.
Reddit is just as reputable as somebody's blog suddenly. Um,
Exactly. It's true.
so
There's no reputable source for any of this shit. Nobody
yeah,
knows.
not even, yeah. I mean, there's some that's more reputable than others, like the handful of
Yeah.
scientists that are actively trying to study, um, near-death experiences, and they're trying to
That's
quantify things.
true.
So, like, there are
Mhm.
a few reputable sources, but they are very rare. And
Yes.
a lot of people are latching on to this soul trap theory, and yeah, it features this force field around the Earth that some people are claiming is the ozone layer, or that the ozone layer hides it somehow. And I mean, I think that a lot of people know the purpose of the ozone layer, so it's not like we can just go without the ozone layer. So,
It's
like,
important.
we're not going to debate whether the ozone layer is the trap or not because I feel like that's just really silly. But like, but there are some people who probably don't like they didn't learn as much science or they didn't get as far in school, and so they think, oh, it could be the ozone layer, which I suppose is that's a
I mean,
pretty easy
anything's
connection to make.
possible,
Yeah,
but yeah,
but supposedly we are trapped here, and the reptilians who control the show are keeping that force field active and making sure that we go through reincarnation. But some people have put forth the theory that you can go back to whatever dimension is your home simply by refusing to go through the light and all of that rigmarole and finding a way out in a different way, or just simply, saying that you want to go home because supposedly everybody is
Mm-hmm.
here by their own free will. It's just that our own free will has been used against us, as so many
Yeah.
conspiracy theories will tout.
That's the other thing
So,
I wonder is how much free will do we actually have here? I feel like a
mm,
fair amount, but yeah, I don't
I guess
know.
that's the.
Yeah.
Actually,
I'm not
Hmm.
really sure if we have a whole lot of free will.
um,
Yeah, what do
in
you think about
uh,
that?
in physics, and I've heard quite a few different physicists and theologians talking about this. Because of the way that the universe works, everything, all the possibilities of what will happen have already been preordained to happen. In You don't really have much choice, in your neurological setup and your personality base that you were born with has already predestined you to make the decisions that you're going to make.
Wow.
That
Is it?
everything that happens to you and everything that you are made of will automatically, your brain will just react in a very prescriptive way.
Whoa. So our genes define us, basically? Our genes define our destiny? Is that what you're
Genes and
saying?
experience, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Is that because they're working on the multiple dimension theory, where certain dimensions are more advanced in time and things have already happened in other dimensions that haven't happened here yet, or something like that? Is this like a game of
Ooh.
cosmic catch up that we're playing? Uh,
No, it's I mean, if you looked into that, maybe you can find something in that. But what I'm talking about is just your everybody's makeup, the DNA and the your what you are made of
Mm-hmm.
from the very
oh,
beginning of
okay.
time already destines it predestines you to
Mm-hmm.
make all the decisions that you're going to make in the world. And what
Sure.
your experiences also influence that, but because other people and other things have already been predestined to do what they're going to do, you run into that experience, and it was always going to be, and it will always be.
Hmm.
Hmm. What if there was somebody who just decided not to play along all of a sudden and made some weird decision? Like all of a sudden they saw something, or they're just like, you know what, not today, and they just didn't do the thing at like out of some kind of breakdown. Like, does this account for psychological breakdowns? I don't know
But
if
you
it
would
does.
have always you would have always come to that conclusion.
Wow.
Hmm.
You would have
I don't
always made
know.
that decision
Damn.
That's
because there's
really
something
restrictive.
because there's something about your makeup and who you are that will always spark that. If you see something, will always spark that decision.
Hmm.
Wow.
I don't know. I'm not sure about that one.
it
My brain
it's
doesn't
a
like that
theory.
because it likes stories. And I like to think that I can make up some pretty good stories.
Mm-hmm.
But
Mm-hmm.
I don't
But you
know.
were always meant to make those stories.
But
Ooh, shit.
specifically those stories? Like,
Yeah,
I don't know. That's a
specifically
Oh.
those
lot of
stories.
moving pieces. I'm sorry, guys. Here, I'm turning into the skeptic, but it's because I mean, maybe it's because I worked for the government at one point and I just saw how nobody can get their shit together. And I'm like, no, this is all too many pieces running way too tightly. I can't.
But that's people actually moving things to do things, right? But what I'm
Yeah.
talking about is that's your genetic makeup, and so, who you are has already predestined you to do what you're going to do. And I'm not saying that
I have
I
to read more about
necessarily
that.
I don't necessarily subscribe to that theory, but
Yeah,
it
yeah.
is, if you look at
Mhm.
things and how the rules, at least of this universe, because we can't, if there is a multiverse, which,
Mhm.
there's a lot of smart people who think that
Could
it's
be.
possible.
Yeah.
But just within our universe, we have
Mhm.
rules and we have
Yeah.
laws of physics, and the laws of physics are based. There are a lot of unknowns to us still, but the laws of
Mhm.
physics apply universally within our universe. And so, it's not that there's so many people making decisions and moving things. It's just that because of the way that everything has been aligned and will always be aligned, then you are who you are going to be. And you are already, if you're going to change, if you're an alcoholic and then you change, there was always going to be something in your mind to be able to make that decision for you to change. And that's just
Yeah.
basically that's just talking about your neurological makeup and how your individual brain relates to the world around you. And so if you
Mm-hmm.
think about it from that way, it's not that there's so many moving pieces that it's a conspiracy. It's just that basically you are who you are and you are always going to be that way. Is
Mm-hmm.
is what they're saying.
Hmm.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. That one's kind of hard for me to wrap my brain around. I'll have to read more about that one because, like, it just seems like there's so much that happens every day that I don't know if absolutely everything could possibly have been accounted for. I mean, that doesn't like account for like, the one random freak storm that sets off like a rock rolling down a hill that like rolls a boulder down the hill and then squashes somebody when they were really meant to live for another 30 years or whatever. Like,
Mm-hmm.
like it doesn't exactly account for everything, but I'm
Yeah.
sure it could account
Yeah.
for a whole lot. Like, probably a whole lot. I don't think we have
Mm-hmm.
as much free will as people think we do. So I'm
No, and
inclined to
even a
believe at
rock.
least,
A rock
yeah,
being in existence where it is and being worn down by weather at some point is going to break. Like that was always
right,
going to
exactly.
happen. That's what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Everything, even if you getting crushed by a rock, I mean, that wasn't your brain doing it, but you being at that place where you got hit by a rock, that is your brain doing it.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
And so
Okay.
everything happening around you was always it was always going to be that way, is what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying.
Man, if we could find a way
Wow.
to fast forward it,
Woo!
like a whole tape, like a tape, and yeah, that'd
Yeah.
be neat.
So, what do you guys think about the whole reincarnation thing? Like, do
Hmm.
you buy into it at all?
I mean,
I
it's
mean, I don't have to
tempting.
answer that question.
I mean,
Everybody
I
knows
know
how I
you
feel about that,
don't.
but
Okay,
Tempting.
yeah.
Very
It,
tempting. I would love to
okay,
believe that I've lived a billion lifetimes. Like, that'd be amazing.
or even 100 other lifetimes. Like, okay, this is where I really started to get into past lives. Is last year there was this Netflix show called I Survived Death. I don't know if you guys saw any of
I heard
that,
about
but
it.
I
yeah.
didn't
Okay,
see it.
so one of the episodes was about reincarnation, and they interviewed kids that remembered past lives. And shit, I don't remember which college it is. There's some university, like a legit university in the US, that is now studying past lives. And they have like thousands and thousands of testimonies from kids, basically. The theory goes that it's easier to remember your past lives when you're young, and then after about age 5, 6, those memories start to fade. But there's been many cases where they've been able to verify the information that the kid is telling them. Like there's one in
Hmm.
particular on this episode where this kid had these memories of being an actor in a past life from like the 1920s or something, and they knew all this information about this person that they said they were, and they were able to literally look it up and verify it, because of historical records now, because this person was like famous or whatever. And so
Huh.
that just got me thinking, like, there's no way a 5-year-old can make all that up. I mean,
Well, I
and
wonder if he was genetically related to him in some way because genetic memory is a thing.
oh,
Genetic memory?
ooh,
Yeah.
that's
Huh.
interesting actually, because I know that people say in general with reincarnation, the theory goes that you kind of tend to reincarnate in similar places, I think, like in on the world, theoretically. And so I wonder, yeah, if there's something that would explain it, I guess, genetic memory. Yeah, if
So,
we're
how
looking
does
at it from a
genetic memory work?
skeptic.
I'm not exactly sure in the full because I've never studied it, but genetic memory,
Mm.
basically, because a lot of people have pointed that out as a argument against reincarnation and those kind of
Mm.
memories, is that because you are a collection of genetics, up until the time that your seed is spread, some memory, it's possible that some memory does exist in the sperm or the egg, and that a
Yeah.
child would remember that. So it would be interesting to think if, because a lot of from what I had heard, a lot of the reincarnation stories, they're all about younger people, which are right in there up into the age where they would procreate.
Hmm.
I don't think.
Yeah. Actually, that's a good point. Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
Most of them do. Yeah, when they remember their past lives, they tend to remember them when they were like in their 20s,
Yeah,
30s.
younger.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah,
Hmm.
Yeah.
but not really as old people.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if we could find a story where
Interesting.
somebody remembered, like, did a past life thing and they were remembering older age. That would be very
I
interesting to
wonder.
me.
I
I mean,
know. Or
Yeah.
they
remembering
might
someone there's
exist.
no way.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I've never. I'm sure that they. It's possible that they exist. I just haven't heard it, so
Yeah.
I'm not
It's
gonna.
it's
Well, if you're
it's
on
being
YouTube and you're
researched though.
watching us and you've had a past life memory of an older person, put
Ooh,
it in
tell
the
us.
comments. We will read
Yeah,
it because we would be
Yeah.
so interested in that.
Yes, we want to know. Yeah, if when you were a little kid, if you have memories of that were from another life, it seemed.
yeah. I had heard about this one young girl who had a near death experience, and she was brought back to life, and like she was so like it wasn't the same girl. Like
Hmm.
it's the
I've
same
heard that
body, but it was a
too.
different person, and this person was so angry to be in that house and wanted to go home, and her home was Egypt, ancient
Oh,
Egypt.
wow.
And like
Oh,
she remembered how this temple that they had just recently discovered, she knew all of the layout and where everything was, and like it's
Hmm.
a pretty famous story.
okay.
uh
I've read about that because isn't that girl still alive? Like she's old now.
yeah, I don't know if she's
I
still alive,
think
but
if
yeah.
it's the same one. Okay, okay, I've
Yeah,
read something like that. Yeah, yeah. I think I've read the same story. Yeah. See, that
yeah,
shit fascinates me. How did they know all those details?
Right.
yeah,
Yeah.
I
Is it
mean,
genetic memory? Is it
I
that
don't, well,
or reincarnated? It's so wild.
Well, if it was
Yeah.
genetic memory, then that, I mean, it would have had to survive generation after generation
yeah,
after generation after
Long
generation
time. Yeah,
for
long ass
like
time.
thousands of years. And is that
yeah,
possible? I mean,
I
maybe
don't
it's
know,
possible, but that kind of, to me, is kind of
yeah.
stretching the bounds of that scientific theory. It seems to be stretching
yeah,
things a bit. But nevertheless,
But
it
yeah, I'm glad you
happened,
brought that
right?
up because that's a good example. Yeah.
Yeah,
Sorry,
like
what'd you say,
it
Jen?
happened. We can't deny it because it's like
Right,
a
yeah.
documented thing, but
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
where does that, I mean, so there are so many things out
But
there,
what
and
does
this
it
is why I
mean?
refuse to pick just one belief because they're all just fascinating stories to me. Um
See, but to me, I
Yeah.
mean, I sit there and I look at a story like that, and it is really fascinating. And but the
Yeah.
mhm,
skeptic in me sits there and goes, she had an obsession with Egypt from a very young age. Some
Hmm.
people are just naturally gifted with languages or script, and like from
mhm,
like savants, right?
Yeah.
right.
And you know she learned hieroglyphs and ancient Egyptian at a very quick pace. The We've seen autistic kids who have done the same thing, okay, or
Yeah.
Right.
some people who are just extremely gifted in one area,
Hmm.
savantism.
Mhm,
And it could have been that she did that, and with her knowledge of how ancient temples were set up from other temples that she had seen, she could make very, very good estimated guesses as to how
Hmm.
the temple was laid out.
Yeah.
hmm,
Oh yeah.
yeah,
It's possible.
that
Anything's
is
possible.
totally possible. Yeah, and she
uh,
might have just hit it, nail meet
Hmm.
nail, hammer meet nail kind of thing, like
Yeah.
she could have totally done that. It's just we don't like to think that
Or
that's a coincidence. Like human beings do
right.
not like to think about coincidences for some reason. It like I don't
Hmm.
know why people always want to believe that everything is set in motion because it's supposed to be like that. Um, maybe it's because I'm comfortable with chaos. I think I'm comfortable with chaos on a level that a lot of people are not comfortable with it on. So,
Interesting. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Maybe that's just the defining, like the difference between, me and somebody who'd be like, well, it's supposed to be that way, so therefore it has to be about reincarnation, like,
So I have a question about the soul catcher, getting back to the main
oh yeah,
topic.
yeah.
Yes.
But like, if you're being reincarnated and you can say of your own free will, I don't want to go,
Yeah.
or refuse of your own free will,
Yeah.
then like, what is the point of keeping you there, and what is the point of reincarnating in the
Here?
first place?
Keeping us
Well,
here, you mean? On Earth?
yeah,
Or keeping us
well,
in the
and
spirit realm?
but if you think about reincarnation, okay, here
Yeah.
let me just put these two together, because this is what is really really stretching it for me, is that
Yeah.
okay, we are in a universe with and it's pretty statistically relevant that we would not be the only intelligent species in the whole universe,
Mm-hmm.
okay? So
Mm-hmm.
if reincarnation is actually a thing, first of all, wouldn't animals be reincarnated as well? Second of
Mm-hmm.
all, wouldn't we then have the ability to be just reincarnate on other planets? And
Well, the theory I've heard is that in regards to animals, there's a hierarchy there, and as your soul evolves, you go from, amoeba to mosquito, ant, whatever, and then eventually through the animal kingdom, and then eventually get to human. I've heard that theory before.
so are the reptiles not interested in the reincarnation of the animals, only of humans?
Oh,
Because
that's a good
there's
question.
pretty
I think,
there's some
yeah,
pretty
yeah.
angry animals though, like
So
badgers.
I'm. That's true.
If
Yeah.
That's
you're
true.
feeding off of negative energy, like
You could
why
have a
didn't
whole
you
world
just
of
Man.
badgers.
the badgers?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know honey
Yeah,
badgers probably give off some loosh. I mean, yeah,
right.
I think that, yeah, I think the theory with the, if you're talking about, with Soul Trap, the reptilian, the archons they're called. If you're talking about
Oh
that
yeah, I
theory, they're
forgot their name.
feeding on, yeah, the archons. If they're feeding off of our energy, the loosh that they want, the energy, and I can't remember where the term loosh came from. There was some dude that invented it, but anyway, I think that's a uniquely human thing. Animals don't really get like racist or homophobic or angry at each other. They just kill because they need to eat. I think humans are more complicated,
I don't
and
know,
so
because animals get really territorial and they get pissed off if they're in your territory, and
that's true.
they'll
They
fight.
do have emotions. They have
Yeah.
emotions. You can't deny
Hmm.
that. You cannot deny it. Anyone who's had a pet knows that their pets have emotions.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
maybe they get a little bit of satisfaction from animals too, but I don't know. I don't know. I feel like humans are the main course in
I
that
don't
So
know.
theory.
animals are the appetizer.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think maybe
Exactly.
either
The
that
side
or
dish.
humans, just like humans do a lot, only consider themselves in the theory without thinking about, like, well, what about the animals, or does
Oh,
that leave
yeah.
everything
Okay,
else? Like,
let's be honest. We are a very human-centric species. I mean, shit. Look at how many animals have died in the last 50 years. We have killed off so many animals.
hmm
Like, I'm sorry, but
yeah,
humans are garbage,
yeah, we're
Like,
kind of
we
selfish
only
beyond all
think about
measure.
ourselves. We're so selfish. Oh my God. I think it's just
Yeah.
human nature, unfortunately.
Yeah, I mean, but this is funny. If we're a collective of a whole bunch of spiritual beings from different dimensions and different places in space,
Yeah.
are
If
we
we're all the
really
same
all
jellyfish.
humans? Really?
Ooh.
Or are we what we
Ooh.
are? Whatever we truly are on the inside,
Maybe maybe
wherever
we're
we
just
came from.
humans right now,
Yeah.
but when we wake up after death, maybe we're something else entirely. I don't
Yeah,
know.
because I mean, this theory demands that we believe that the entities that we actually are inside can, number one, separate from our body and survive. And two, that the image, if you will, or the, whatever that thing looks like or is drastically different from the husk that we inhabit. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
I
like,
feel like that's the same thing as like the Christian perspective and stuff too, because your soul still survives and your memories still survive.
Yeah.
yeah,
Christians believe
right.
that. Yeah. Yeah. What do our souls look like? I wonder.
I don't
I
Hmm.
think
know.
I
Maybe.
for me, your soul is just your consciousness. I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah.
That energy
it's
or
it's
whatever.
the
Yeah.
neural signals in your brain that create the
Uh,
ability to be able to identify and think of the self. And
hmm.
for me, that is the soul, is just
Yeah.
your conscientiousness of who you are and what you are, and like the world that surrounds you, and the ability to think deeper thoughts
Yeah.
than I'm hungry, where's my food, the
Yeah. And we're
yeah.
intelligent enough that we took it a step too far and we're like, oh, there's something beyond us. Is that what you're saying,
Well, yeah,
maybe?
yeah, and I think that human beings have this really, really, really good tendency to, see patterns where patterns don't exist. Humans are
Oh, yeah.
pattern,
Oh, we love patterns. Are you kidding me?
yeah.
Coincidences, patterns. We love finding that shit. Yeah.
Our
We
brain
love
just
finding a
eats it up.
deeper meaning.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh, what does that mean? Yeah. Yeah. Maybe we're overthinking all this. Maybe we're just animals that happen to get a little extra consciousness in there and nothing happens after we're done. It's very
It's
comforting.
totally possible. That is totally possible because, I mean,
God, I hope the atheists are right.
it would be so much simpler, wouldn't it, than having to fight.
Right?
Ellen dies, and she's like, she sees the light, and she's like, it's okay, it's just a loss of oxygen and blood in my brain. And
Yeah,
then
yeah,
as
Annette was
it's
right.
closing in, she sees a reptilian face, and she's like, oh fuck.
God damn it, I was right. Yeah.
Then you have to refuse to go into the light
No.
and you have to
Yeah, okay.
demand to be
So I
taken home.
okay,
You
so
know,
so
on brain neurochemicals, and so you're sitting there going,
yeah.
but I'm just happy.
Yeah, I
Hi,
feel so
light
good. Yeah.
reptile. How are you doing?
I
Maybe
see
that's why
that
it's so hard to
question.
escape. See, that's why it's hard to escape and why we're all
Ooh.
still
Yeah.
stuck here because we're on
Yeah.
the we're in limbo,
Feels
if you will,
good.
the
It's like,
whole limbo
oh
thing.
yeah. It's like the best
So
orgasm you've ever had
then,
in your
then
brain.
what do you think about? What do you think about then if that's the case, because our brains are set up to give us the happy
Yeah.
signals when we're dying, then maybe the reptilian species created our bodies as the prison, like as the jail, your jail cell, and
Oh.
your death
Hmm.
making you happy and taking away the ability to really make a clear decision on whether or not to refuse going into the light would be how they're controlling the entire situation.
Well, yeah. That makes
There you
total sense.
go.
Exactly.
See, we've converted her.
No.
That's it. Yeah. Sides too. It's fascinating to think about either way. Yeah.
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 It's
But
it's
I mean,
plausible, sort of. I mean, loosely plausible. As long as
yeah.
you can figure out how all those working pieces actually function with
Yeah,
science,
yeah,
then
I feel
It's a lot of
like
mental
that's a more
gymnastics.
of a stretch than
Mm-hmm.
believing that you have no free will. I feel like having no free will has a little
Mm.
bit more common sense to it than like you are a flesh prison. And
it feels like I'm a flesh prison, though. I
I
mean,
was
that's
just
why
gonna
this is
say,
relatable.
yeah.
yes, sometimes it fucking feels like a prison here. I
It
mean,
does. Because we don't
yeah.
have as many options as we want to have, especially in this country where we have the illusion of
Mm-hmm.
freedom and the illusion of choice. So many choices. But, if you can't afford any of the choices, how many choices do you really have?
Oh yeah.
That's
Oh, I read this book years ago by Rob Bell. It was called Love Wins, I think. And he was a pastor that he believes that we are in hell right now. He thinks this plane of existence might actually be hell, or purgatory at least, like, which
Well,
is
he
really
sounds happy.
fascinating.
Yeah.
Actually, I should preface this by saying it's been a while since I read that book, but that was the general gist I got from it. Is thinking like, oh, maybe we're here right
That'd
now,
be
or in
hilarious
purgatory,
if
or
the
I
book
know.
is just a totally different like takeaway, and like Ellen's brain just went, "Yep, that's the
Yeah,
conclusion."
I know. Sorry, everyone who's actually remembers that book. No, but I remember thinking about that. Like, wow, what if right now where we are, this reality, what if this is not what we think it is, and what if this, according to the Bible or whoever, or many ancient religions, what if we're in a different place than we think we
Well,
are? What if we're not in the good place?
I don't believe that people actually understand the reality of the world that's around them anyway. I just
Yeah,
from a
yeah, we
from
don't.
a sociological, psychological, scientific,
Scientific.
yeah,
Yeah,
you
we
don't,
don't
the
understand.
average person does not understand how the world works, like even the scientific
No.
principles of how the world works. And we don't understand the interpersonal systems. We don't understand our
Hmm.
political systems. We don't understand, what
We're a
how
mess.
society actually works, because religion tells us one thing, and so we are unable to see the full
Hmm.
spectrum of how the world really is. We
It's
all
true.
have rose glasses, whatever that
We
saying is.
see through a glass darkly or whatever. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Rose-colored glasses.
Thank
That
you.
too. Yeah, yeah. Everything. We
Again,
none of us see
not
clearly.
AI
No,
deep fake, okay?
nobody knows. Isn't that crazy? Nobody knows. No, but not one person. Okay, maybe one guy figured it out. Nobody really knows the truth.
Statistically,
Yeah,
Yeah, like maybe there's
statistically,
one.
that one guy in history figured out everything. But otherwise, it's like we
And then
have
he was
no
hit
fucking clue.
by a rock that was
Yeah.
going down a hill.
Yeah. Yep.
Always
Crushed
predestined to happen.
crushed
Yeah,
by
it
a
was gonna
boulder,
happen
so he couldn't
anyway.
tell anyone. Right
Yep.
after he figured it out.
Damn it. We were so close.
Oh, that close, guys. Um,
That's
but
Well,
hilarious.
I think that in the end, this conspiracy theory is super tantalizing to the brain because it offers us things that we want, like second chances and the ability to keep on living even after we should be dead. And, the possibility of seeing loved ones again, even if they are a mirage. And the possibility that we could fight to go to another place where we really belong because this isn't it. And to people who are not living the high life here, that's probably a pretty tantalizing thought. Super, super tempting to believe that you could just go back to where you're really from and then you could have a better life,
oh yeah, just
conceivably.
tap those ruby heels and
Yeah. And then there's the
no place
thought
like home.
No
also.
place like home, yeah.
Right. There's
Mhm.
also the thought that if we are capable of reincarnating into infinity, then we are essentially immortal beings,
Yeah.
right? So that gives us
Ooh.
immortality, which is something else humans really, really want.
Yeah. The immortal
So
jellyfish that we're all a part of.
exactly. So
Eats
this
itself.
story
Yep.
gives us a lot of things that we want. So
Mm.
is that reality? Does
Who
reality
knows?
always give us what we want? Eh,
Not usually.
No.
not so much. I mean,
Damn it. Why is that? Why can't we just create whatever we want here? Like,
that would be
come
great.
on.
Oh my God, it'd be
Yeah.
great. Like, wouldn't it be awesome if we could just create whatever destiny we wanted to have? And it was so simple. All you had to do was,
Mhm.
go the path and, do the work and then see it materializes just like you planned.
But
Oh, yeah.
your destiny might interfere with somebody else's destiny, and so how would
Mm.
everybody make their own destiny? Because if you can choose what you're going to do, that could infringe on somebody else's choice, right?
Oh, shit. Everyone's destiny would just be like rubbing up against everyone else's destiny and
Yeah.
messing it all up. Yeah.
If you chose that you were destined to rule the world, you're really fucking with a lot of people's destinies.
Oh.
that's
maybe
really
we are all
complicated.
predetermined.
And speaking of
Yeah.
complicated, that the soul trap theory gives us one more thing that I didn't think of that we really, really want, which is simplicity. I mean, sure,
Yeah.
it
We want
is a
that.
little like this theory is more complex than other theories where you're just asked to believe that the soul simply reincarnates lifetime to lifetime. No, there's a lot more to this. There's drama here, like nearly Greek level drama. And um and
That's right.
it gives us the
Which is a lot of
simplicity.
drama.
There's a lot of
Yeah.
drama. Yeah, the ancient Greeks were really dramatic about their writings. But you know, this is nearing ancient Greek level drama, and it's very simple though. Like on the surface, you could just be like, yeah, that's why all the world's problems are like that. That makes total sense. And I feel like when something seems to explain everything, it probably really doesn't. So
Mm.
it's just,
Mm-hmm.
you know, the veneer of simplicity, the veneer of explanation.
Yeah.
Which is
Maybe
why,
humans are just really shitty, and that's why we act
yeah,
shitty.
I
And it's
love all
not a
these theories.
malevolent
I
General
just
force.
don't
theory.
always believe in them. I think it's a cool ass theory though. And I mean, to be real, would I like to have a soul trap scenario so that I could like figure out how to defeat it and go back to my own place or whatever? Yeah, sure, why not? Like, hey, that's cool.
What a
Isn't that
fun
like a choose your
challenge.
own? Yeah, it's like a choose your
Yeah.
own adventure.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure
So
that's what
yeah.
our brains do with religion, and that's why there's so many religions. It's like a choose your own adventure, except with your life, you know?
Yeah. I mean, so when we die and we see the tunnel, what are we supposed to do? Just turn around the other way? No, I'm not going to go to that tunnel. But
I
then what
don't
do you
know.
do?
Yeah, I mean, some people say that all you have to do is refuse to go into the light because it's all based on personal choice, right? So if you don't,
Yeah,
if like they
theoretically.
can't hold you if you refuse to go, because that's
Mm-hmm.
like I guess when they would
Yep.
get in trouble
We
with
got free
other,
will, bitch.
That's
yeah,
like
like
that Trek Voyager episode.
where everybody
Yeah,
has free will, but you
yeah.
keep getting tricked into.
Well, Janeway, Ellen sent it to us, and I remember watching it a long
Mm-hmm.
time ago. But like, Janeway is dying, and her father comes to her and is like, "Come to the light," and it's actually an alien species that invaded her brain, and they feed off of
Yeah.
human energy. It's
What?
basically the
Wait.
prison theory, like the prison, like it's like it's the soul
Hmm.
trap, but it was on Star Trek.
I wonder how
Yeah.
long this theory's been alive for. Maybe it's
I
been
don't know.
alive. Maybe it predated Star Trek, or maybe somebody just took an episode of Star Trek and was like, "Hey, internet, look what I thought up today," and they just
Which
Yes.
posed as,
the chicken or the egg?
I
yeah.
think it's been around a while. I think the Gnostic Christians might have even gotten into it too. I don't
That's
know.
a long ass time ago. Then I
But
mean,
yeah,
those
yeah, I
guys
think I
were.
I think it's been around a while.
Yeah, it's
Take my
Hmm.
heart out if
interesting.
I'm wrong.
It it's interesting though that evil gods or like a lot of gods are reptilian figures. Even the Satan was
Mm,
a snake
they're
in
snakes.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
interesting. But
Hmm.
sometimes lizards are cute.
I
I like
know,
lizards.
right?
I know. I
I
love
know they were
snakes.
associated with
I had ball
badness, but
pythons. Yeah.
And why would an
oh.
alien species be reptilian when we have reptiles because of the unique characteristics of our planet? I don't know that you would
Mm-hmm.
find
Mm,
our you wouldn't find the same life forms. I think it's always really funny when
mm,
people like draw aliens and it's like they have two eyes and two arms and two legs just like us, and I'm like,
mm-hmm.
the gravitational force on another planet might make it so it's impossible for them to evolve in that way, and
Yeah.
they could look entirely different from what we look like.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's
Oh yeah.
so egocentric of humans to think that aliens would look like
Oh
them.
yeah.
Like,
It
Mm-hmm.
is. It
We
is.
are though. That's how humans
Yeah.
are. We're so egocentric. God,
Mm-hmm. It's pretty
wild.
bad. The level of selfishness and egocentrism is just pretty good. But I mean, maybe extraterrestrials are like that too, because once again, you have your own self-interests, right? So perhaps from
Yeah.
their worldview, everything looks like them and everything has their interests. And, why should we be any different? Maybe any
Yeah.
other species is just as self-serving and egocentric as we are. I mean, who's to say
Yeah.
that they aren't? So they could be
Everyone's just
friendly
looking
or
out for
they could not
themselves.
be friendly based on whatever they thought was good for them.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, this whole thing is it does the reptilian thing though, like that is interesting because I remember when reptilians started emerging, like, well, I don't know if they really started emerging a couple decades ago, but I just remember hearing of the theory a couple decades ago and I
Lizard
was like,
people.
yeah, lizard people, reptilians, they secretly control our government. And I'm just
Yeah.
like,
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. That's been around for a while.
yeah. And
Yeah,
like,
it has.
there's so many people right now who still believe that Mark Zuckerberg is not really human, but a reptilian. And like, I mean, that's fair though. He doesn't look human and it's not
I
right.
know.
Mark Zuckerberg, you're not right. So, like, and who am I?
I mean,
Anyway.
but I mean, that could be based off of, his own, mental
What?
health and his, I mean, so like, just because you don't look human and you're not right, I mean, it could be due to, you know,
Other factors.
disordered behavior.
So you're
Maybe.
saying he might not be a lizard person, is what you're saying.
I would assume that he's not a lizard person, not just
Okay.
a human with differences.
Yeah.
He's a very smart man, maybe a little socially awkward.
I don't
He
think
could
he's
be a
smart.
lizard.
He's just a thief. That's what he is. He's a
Yeah.
glorified thief.
Okay.
He stole other people's
Okay.
stuff and profited off of
Right
it.
place,
Like,
right
come on.
time. Yeah.
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 The opportunity came, he took it, so
Okay, that's
therefore
true.
he's more egocentric and self-serving than the rest of us. And look, he rose to the top. So
A lot of heads up companies and CEOs are like kind of on the sociopathic,
psychopath
level.
kind
So
of. Yeah.
They're
Yeah,
not.
they are.
They're not like normal people. It's hard to become a billionaire if you're a nice person, if you're an ethical person. I think I think you have to take advantage of a few people to become a billionaire. So
Yeah, maybe they should be in the soul trap, and we should just go back to wherever we came from.
or
But
maybe the entire world government is run by those people.
that's another
one of
theory
the
that they're, that's another
maybe
one
next
too.
week we can talk about the
Yeah.
lizard people. Yeah.
Yeah, the lizard people, the reptilians. You know what? They do fascinate me though, because a lot of theories about other beings and even the soul trap, like our spirit, whatever that might look like, is presumably ethereal in nature and can just kind of absorb into other things to animate it or whatever. But the lizard people are different. Reptilians are like supposedly in lizardish form, some kind of reptile-ish form, and then they can, even though they have that form,
Shapeshift.
they can go into the body of a human or shapeshift. It depends on what you believe as part of the theory, but some people believe that like they're basically body snatchers where they steal somebody's body and then like puppet it around. And then some people think that the reptilians are like they're essentially shapeshifters that can just, so we've got
And some
shapeshifters and
people
skinwalkers
think
here.
some people think that they come from inside the earth, from underground.
Yeah, I've heard that. Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe they don't come from outer space at all.
Maybe they don't. Maybe they were the original inhabitants and then they just drew in stuff to make
Maybe
food
that's
here.
why it's hell. Maybe that's why everybody religions always think of hell as being down.
Maybe. I
Oh.
wonder if that idea was planted by reptilians. Oh my God. It makes so much
I
sense.
don't even know.
Okay, well, I think this theory, we've probably spun it out. I know that Ellen would, I mean, at the end of the day, do we believe in this?
No.
And that's definitely no. No.
Okay, I am like almost, I'm going to say I'm 90% buying into reincarnation. I'm getting pretty bought into that at this point. But soul trap, being harvested, I don't know if I can go quite that far. I mean, hard to say. But I think there's some reincarnation shit going on.
Yeah.
But who knows?
Reincarnation is an interesting theory, and I mean, part of me hopes that there are second chances. You know, we all like to believe in that there will be a second chance, that we get to do it again, that we get to do more and be more and have more choices to make. But, you know, also I kind of want to just rest. Like, I'm fucking tired,
I
you know? I am tired.
Oh, that's the thing. If I have been reincarnating, I'm kind of done, you know? Like,
yeah, it's like, how many children do you want? Like, maybe 2, 3, 4, and then finally, you know, when you're just done and you've hit your limit. I wonder if there's any end to the reincarnation cycle when you're just fucking done.
Lives have you had? I've had enough lives. Yeah.
I feel like I would probably be a newbie on the reincarnation scale, and that's why if I saw a light, you know, a tunnel and a light at the end of the tunnel, I wouldn't sit there and go, no, I have free will and I'm not going. I'd go, I wonder what's on the other side of that light.
Well, if you guys reincarnated, I'd want to reincarnate too, so.
Aww.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm usually about 50 to 60% like invested in any one of these theories that we're going to be exploring, just because some of them I'll be like 0% invested in, but like, you know, so the most I'll ever get to is like 50 to 60% invested, probably because I'm a writer at heart and I know what it's like to create a story. And since I know what that's like and I know all of the weird gymnastics that go into doing that mentally, I can see how these things are stories. And so it's really, really hard for me to 100% buy into anything unless I'm seeing some pretty convincing evidence that it's true. So, I mean, in that way, I'm kind of a skeptic, but also I'm not, because I want to believe in it, you know? But
I'm a full out skeptic, so don't expect much from me.
I'll always be the fencer. But anyway, thank you guys for going down this rabbit hole with us. This is a good rabbit hole. I like this rabbit hole. There's just so many exciting twists and turns in this, and we probably didn't even hit all of the stuff that's in this.
Close. There's too much.
I mean, that
much.
would be really extensive.
Scratched the surface. Yeah. For anyone who's interested in this, you know, I recommend, if you're interested in learning more about this, I recommend the sub on Reddit called Escaping Prison Planet. It's very fascinating.
Oh, yeah, that is a good subreddit. And also, if you just go onto Google and Google soul trap theory, you will come up with an endless list of videos and subreddits and just blogs and a lot of stuff dedicated to the soul trap theory. It is very interesting.
At some point, we're going to have to talk about the moon as a space station. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
That all ties in.
Absolutely. Yes, that does tie in. Doesn't that tie into the soul trap theory? The moon is like actually hollow and
yeah. I made you guys watch that crazy video about the moon theory, right? Yeah. Oh, yeah. It all ties in.
I really want to talk about that.
Yeah, we've got to talk about that. So
next week we can talk about the moon.
We're doing hollow moon theory next time.
Oh yeah.
But you know, if you want to see more content that's really specific, you could always drop us a line. Wait, do we even have an email address yet, guys? Did we make that?
Oh shit.
Oh yeah,
we do. Sage Skeptic Storyteller at gmail.com.
That's
it's long,
right.
But SSS podcast was taken, so
it is what it is.
It is what it is. We overcome. But yeah, so if you want a specific theory discussed, or if you have questions about anything that we've talked about before, we could always do a questions compilation. So just send us a message at sageskepticstoryteller@gmail.com, and
hit us up on Twitter, well, now X, Sage
Yeah.
Skeptic and Storyteller. We are there. Also, we are on Threads. So there's many places that you can find us. So wherever you can hit us
Yay!
up, hit us up.
Yep.
Hit us
Do it.
up. Let us know we're not alone in this universe.
Yeah. And then we'll continue to tell you that we're not AI deepfakes.
Oh, we're
So,
real. Unfortunately, we are
yeah.
flawed. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you again for going along with us. And we hope to see you next time on Sage Skeptic and Storyteller.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.